Nicholas Rossi, arrested man is missing U.S. fugitive.
Court rules a man arrested in a Scottish hospital last year as U.S. fugitive Nicholas Rossi, a court has ruled. The man had claimed to have been the victim of mistaken identity, and insisted his name was Arthur Knight. But Edinburgh Sheriff Court heard that his tattoos and fingerprints matched those of Rossi. Authorities in the U.S. are seeking Rossi's extradition over allegations of rape and sexual assault. It is alleged that he faked his own death and fled to Scotland to escape prosecution. He had spent the past year insisting that he was Arthur Knight, an orphan from Ireland who had never been to the U.S. He claimed that he had been given distinctive tattoos matching those on the arms of Rossi while he was lying unconscious in a Glasgow hospital in an attempt to frame him. But after a 3-day hearing, Sheriff Norman McFadden said, "I am ultimately satisfied on the balance of probabilities that Mr. Knight is indeed Nicholas Rossi, the person sought for extradition by the United States." Sheriff McFadden rejected Rossi's claims to have been the victim of mistaken identity as implausible and fanciful and said his repeated name changes were highly suspicious and consistent with someone who was hiding from someone or something. He will now face an extradition hearing in March, when the Scottish courts will decide whether to send him back to the U.S. to stand trial on the allegations against him. Rossi was arrested by Police Scotland last year after staff at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital recognised his tattoos, images of which had been circulated by Interpol, while he was being treated for COVID. Fingerprint expert Lisa Davidson told the court that prints taken from the man claiming to be Arthur Knight after his arrest were identical to those of Rossi, which were included on a U.S. extradition request and the Interpol Red Notice. But Rossi claimed the fingerprints had been meddled with and taken from him by an NHS worker called Patrick on behalf of David Levitt, a Utah County lawyer. Advocate Deputy Paul Harvey dismissed his claims as entirely outlandish and bizarre. Rossi's accent also changed several times while he was giving evidence. A series of earlier hearings in the case had seen Rossi sack at least 6 lawyers and claim to have been tortured in prison. His wife, Miranda Knight, 41, gave evidence to the court during the hearing and said her husband had given no indication that he was really Nicholas Rossi. Rossi's marriage certificate was shown to the court, which had been signed under the name Nicholas Brown. The court was told on Wednesday that U.S. prosecutors submitted additional extradition requests over an allegation of rape in Salt Lake City and another over an allegation of sexual assault against Rossi. Rossi, who appeared in court in a wheelchair, was already fighting an extradition request by authorities in Utah who allege he raped a 21-year-old woman in the state in 2008. He had previously been convicted of sexually assaulting another woman, known as Mary, after meeting her online in 2008. She told BBC Scotland that Rossi pinned her against a wall, forcefully kissed and groped her and masturbated in front of her at a college in Ohio. Mary said she hoped Rossi would now face justice on the other allegations against him, adding, "He is trying to fool everybody and I'm glad so many people see through it." Who is Nicholas Rossi? Authorities in the U.S. have said that Rossi was also known as Nicholas Laverdian in the state of Rhode Island, where he was involved in local politics and was a critic of the state's child welfare system. Rossi told U.S. media in December 2019 that he had late-stage non-Hodgkin lymphoma and had weeks to live. Several outlets reported that he had died in February 2020. Court records showed that Utah officials were looking for him at the time in connection with an alleged rape. When he was arrested in Glasgow, he was also on the run from authorities in other U.S. states. He used several other aliases, including Nicholas Edward Rossi, Nicholas Laverdian Rossi, Nick Allen, Nicholas Brown, Arthur Brown and Arthur Knight. The FBI also had a warrant for his arrest on charges of defrauding his foster father by taking out credit cards in his name and running up debts of more than $200,000.
Nicholas Rossi, born July 11, 1987, also known as Nicholas Rossi and Arthur Knight, among other aliases, is an American sex offender who faked his own death in 2020. Rossi alleged that he suffered abuse and negligence in the Department of Children, Youth and Families, DCYF, Rhode Island's social service system. In support of this allegation, he unsuccessfully sued the DCYF in federal court in 2011, then voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit when Rhode Island waived his medical expenses debt of around $200,000. In January 2020, Rossi said that he had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. In February 2020, news outlets reported Rossi's death, citing his family's anonymous testimony and his obituary. The reports of his death were disputed, as they occurred after the FBI initiated a fraud investigation against him, while Rhode Island police had a warrant on him for failure to register as a sex offender. In October 2021, he was discovered in a hospital in Scotland, while undergoing treatment for COVID-19. He was arrested in December on charges of an alleged rape in Utah in 2008. A sealed arrest warrant had been issued in September 2020, in addition to other alleged crimes. Efforts are underway to extradite him to the United States. In November 2022, the Edinburgh Sheriff's Court confirmed that the arrested man was Nicholas Rossi, despite his claims of mistaken identity.